All right, let's go ahead and get started on the next section. We're still solving logs, but we're going to go to the next step. So I'm going to erase what I have up here because you should already have this in your notes. And then we're going to move on to the one that we're doing next. So today, or this time, we're going to work on adding and subtracting logs on one side. So whenever you have more than one log on each side, and that's what we're going to work on this time. And you're going to use your properties. So remember, you've got to use the properties that we used when we expanded. So if you want to make a little note here, when you are adding, then you are going to multiply. When you are subtracting, you're going to divide. Okay? So remember those rules. We're actually going to condense. That's what we'll do first. So let's go ahead and turn to page 14. All right. So addition or subtraction of logs on one side. Rewrite as one log. See, we're going to condense it. Then we're going to do left, right, left, and solve. So the left, right, left you should be good with. Just know, and even if you have a log on each, or you have logs on both sides, you're still going to condense first, and then you can solve out. But we're just going to deal with the ones that have it on one side. All right, but it's the same concept if you have it on both sides. So let's condense what we've been used to doing. All right, so if we look right here, we're multiplying or adding, so that means when we condense, we're going to multiply. All right, so we're going to go down to one log. So log, and there's not a base there, so it is a common base, which is log base 10. So 5x, x minus 1, because we are multiplying, is going to equal 2. So now we can do left, right, left. And then we're going to take and we're going to, or the 1, 3, 2. And then we're going to take and we're going to solve out. So we have 10, because that's our base, squared, is equal to 5x, x minus 1. All right? So 10 squared is 100. Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute this 5x to both of these right here. So 5x times x is 5x squared. And then 5x times a negative 1 is minus 5x. All right, so I've got it down that much. Uh-oh, we have that x squared again, and it's not going to cancel out, so we're going to have to get everything to one side. So I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to start doing my work up here, just so I have more room. All right, so let's see, I have 100 is equal to 5x squared minus 5x. All right, to get everything to one side, I'm going to subtract 100 from both sides. I don't have anything to combine that 100 with, so I'm just going to put it over to the end. So 100 minus 100 is 0. Then we have 5x squared minus 5x minus 100. Now, when we are doing this, anytime you factor, the first thing that you look for when you factor is GCF, greatest common factor. Well, if I look at these, my 5, and my 100, they all have a common factor of 5. Okay? It's not going to be any bigger than my smallest number, but 5 does go into 100. We know that. So if I take a 5 out, to pretty much divide each of those by 5, 5 divided by 5 just leaves me with the x squared. Negative 5x divided by 5 leaves me with negative x. And then negative 100 divided by 5 leaves me with 20. Now I can do the x method. So what can I multiply together to give me negative 20, add to give me a negative 1? Now if you remember your factors of 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Now, if I'm looking at those, which ones could give me 1? It's going to be the 4 and the 5. So 4 and 5. But one of them has to be negative. Well, this is going to take the sign of my biggest number. So my 5 is going to be negative. My 1 was positive, my 5 would be positive. So whatever you add to get, it takes the sign of your biggest number. So I'm going to have x plus 4, x minus 5. So I have my two factors, but I'm not done yet. And I'm going to put this 5 back out front because it is part of my equation. I'm not done yet. I need to set my factors equal to 0. So 5 is equal to 0, x plus 4 is equal to 0, and x minus 5 is equal to 0. All right, so x equals 0, or 5 is equal to 0. That does not work, so we don't have to worry about that one. Then the next one, x plus 4, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So we have x, 4 minus 4 is 0, so then 0 minus 4 is negative 4. That is one of my solutions. All right, so then we have x minus 5, so we're going to add 5 to both sides. All right, the x comes down. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0, and equals 0 plus 5 is 5. So our second solution is 5. So x is equal to negative 4, and x is equal to 5. I have just solved that one, but first I had to condense. All right, number 2, we're doing the same thing. The only difference is it's a natural log because it's ln. So we're still going to do the same process, but we're just going to name it with the ln. So this subtraction means that we're going to divide, okay? So if we look at that, we're going to take and do the ln, and everything that is in front goes on top. So x plus 2 on top, and then everything after the subtraction sign goes on bottom, so x minus 4 on the bottom, and it's equal to 5. All right, now we can do left, right, left, or 1, 3, 2. Now you have to remember that the natural log, the ln, is also the same as log base e. So my base that I'm going to take is going to be that e. Okay? So I'm going to have e to the 5th is equal to x plus 2 over x minus 4. All right, now remember, you have to put e to the 5th in the calculator. And in order to do that, if you turn your calculator on and look under the little fancy log button, you'll see the ln. So 2 buttons under the on button, you'll see the ln. You're going to push shift and then push the ln button. That's going to give you e, and it's going to give you a box, and push 5. And then enter, and it'll give you the value of e to the 5th. So e to the 5th is 148.41, and that is equal to the x plus 2 over x minus 4. Now this one's going to get a little bit big, but that's all right. All right, so in order to go ahead and solve this out, I need to combine like terms, but I have a fraction going on. Well, to get rid of a fraction, I'm going to multiply by what's on bottom on both sides. So I'm going to multiply that side by x minus 4, then I'm going to multiply this side by x minus 4. And that's going to cause this to cancel out. And then I'm going to be left with 148.41 times x minus 4 is equal to x plus 2. All right, I'm going to erase my work right here. You should have it down, but I'm going to erase this just so I have room to finish this. All right, now I need to distribute the 148.41 to the x and to the negative 4. When I do that, I get 148.41x minus 593.65 is equal to x plus 2. Now we can solve out. Okay? So I'm going to combine like terms. I'm going to draw like a little line right here so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay? So, combine like terms, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So minus x. So first thing I'm going to do. That's going to leave me with 147.41x minus 593.65 is equal to 2 because x minus x is 0. Now, I'm going to take and I'm going to add 593.65 to both sides. So just know that I'm adding that to this side and to the 2. Okay? When I do that, I have 147.41x. This cancels out, and it is equal to 2 plus 593.65, so 595.65. All right. Now, the only thing I have left to do is to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 147.41. And I'm going to, if I do it on one side, I got to do it on the other side. Okay? Of course, you'll have your calculator, so you can put this in the calculator and see what you get. But when I divide those, I get x is equal to 4.04. And that's my answer. That one was a little bit tedious, and I had a lot of work with it, but if you just take your time with it, you'll get it. All right, the next one. We are subtracting, so that means we're going to divide. All right? So we have log of x divided by 2, and that's equal to 1. Now, left, right, left, 1, 3, 2, whichever one you like. There's not a log there, so we know that it's a 10, or there's not a base there, so we know it's a 10. So 10 to the first is equal to x over 2. Well, 10 to the first is 10. And that's still going to equal x over 2. Now, I want to get rid of that fraction. So I'm going to multiply by what's on bottom. I'm going to multiply it to both sides. So that's going to cause that to cancel. 10 times 2 is 20, and it's equal to x. All right. Here we go. We're dealing with a log on each side now. Okay? So I'm glad there's one in here for you to see what we're going to do. All right, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to condense first because we have 2 logs on this side right here. So we got to condense before we can get rid of anything. But since we are since we're subtracting, we're going to divide. All right? So we have the log base of 9, then x plus 6 over x. All right? And it's going to be equal to the log base 9 of 2. All right. Go back to the rule for when we have a log on each side. If it's the same log base, we can cancel it out, and they're both log base 9. So we're left with x plus 6 over x is equal to 2. Now, get rid of this fraction, and in order to do that, we're going to multiply by x on both sides. All right. So x on top and an x on the bottom, so since it's being multiplied, I can get rid of that. All right, and that's going to leave me with x plus 6, and then 2 times x is 2x. All right, now I'm just going to solve out for x. I need to get the x's on the same side, so subtract x from both sides. X minus x is 0. Bring that 6 down, and it is equal to 2x minus x is x. So it is equal to 6. And that one is finished. All right. Number 5. It's just a natural log. We only have the natural logs on one side, so we're just going to condense it, and then we'll do left, right, left. So again, it's subtracting, so we're going to divide. So the LN, and then we have negative 3x minus 1 on top, divided by 7 is equal to 2. Now remember, and I'm going to put the little note right here, LN is equal to the log base of E. So we know that that E is going to be our first left. So LRL, or 1, 3, 2. All right, so we have E squared is equal to negative 3x minus 1 over 7. All right, you're going to have to put E squared into the calculator and just try to remember how to do that. So we're going to take E squared is 7.39, and it is equal to negative 3x minus 1 over 7. All right. So I'm going to rewrite this up here just so I have it. 7.39 is equal to negative 3x minus 1 over 7. All right, so in order to get rid of that 7, or get rid of this fraction, we're going to multiply by 7. We're multiplying by what's on the bottom, okay? And I'm putting parentheses around this, so that way you know to distribute that 7 to everything. All right, so 7 times 7.39 is going to be 51. Let me change my color back to blue. 51.72. And that's going to equal, this is going to cancel, so it's going to equal negative 3x minus 1. All right, I need to combine like terms, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So that's 52.72 is equal to negative 3x. And negative 1 plus 1 cancels out. Then I'm going to divide by a negative 3. Okay? And when I put that into the calculator, x is going to be equal to negative 17.24. And that's going to be my answer. So the same process, just condensing, is putting everything together, what we learned in the lesson before, or actually the last 2 lessons. We're going to condense, and then do left, right, left to solve, or to cancel out the logs on each side. All right, we've got 2 more. If you want to pause the video and try to do these 2 yourself, go ahead, and then come back and check your answers with what I get. But number 6, we have an LN on one side. So it's not going to cancel out, but we need to condense first. So we're going to divide it. So we have the LN, and it's 4x plus 1 over 3 is equal to 5. All right. Remember, left, right, left, or 1, 3, 2. So we have e to the 5th is equal to 4x plus 1 over 3. All right. The value for e to the 5th is 148.41. It's equal to the 4x plus 1 over 3. All right, to get rid of that 3, multiply by 3 on both sides. All right, so 3 times 148.41 is going to be 445.24. And that's going to equal, because this is going to cancel out, it's going to equal 4x plus 1. All right, and then solve out for x. So subtract 1. That's going to leave me with 444.24 is equal to 4x. All right, and then we're going to divide by 4. Okay, so when you put that in your calculator, x is going to equal 111.06. All right, one more. And this one, I encourage you again to pause it to see if you get what I get, just because it's got one on each side, so you know you're going to cancel them out after you condense. So again, subtracting, so we're going to divide. All right, so we have the ln of x minus 3 over x minus 5, and it's going to be equal to the ln of 5. All right, so ln is the log base of e. So if we look at this, we have a log on both sides. They match, so we can cancel them out. So we have left x minus 3 over x minus 5 is equal to 5. Now, in order to get rid of that fraction, we're going to multiply by x minus 5 on both sides. Okay? So when we do it on the first side, it's going to cancel that out, and we're left with x minus 3. And then on the other side, we have to distribute this 5 to both of those. So it's going to leave us with 5x minus 25. Okay. Now all we need to do is combine like terms. So I'm going to take and subtract 5x from both sides. That's going to leave me x minus 5x is negative 4x minus 3, and that's equal to 5x minus 5x is 0, so negative 25. Now I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and that's going to leave me with negative 4x. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Negative 25 plus 3 is negative 22. All right, the last thing that I need to do is divide by negative 4. All right, so that's going to leave me with x. And that's going to leave me with 22 over 4 because the negatives cancel. This can be simplified to x is equal to 11 over 2. Or if you want to go ahead and put it as a decimal, but you need to get used to seeing it both ways, 5 1/2. So just get used to seeing it both ways, fraction or decimal. Just know that on a test it could be either way. It won't be both ways as an option. It will be one or the other. So go back and review these. It's just everything put together with the past 2 sections. And you can have plenty of practice on this. If you're good with the condensing and you're good with the solving of logs on both sides and logs on one side, you should get this pretty good.